New details on a shooting we first brought you yesterday morning. A man killed in South LA on Halloween night is the son of a former rap executive and alleged former gang leader.
Leaked footage of Big U's son in the hours before his murder has just surfaced, and it's rewriting everything we thought we knew. What happened that night in South Los Angeles is far more chilling than anyone realized. The moments captured on video hint at danger, planning, and secrets that could change the investigation completely. And I have every detail they don't want you to see. Existence and circulation of footage. The public first became aware of material purporting to show Jabari Henley, sometimes referred to as Baby Wee, shortly before his death. While the origin of the content remains unclear, it immediately raised questions about who recorded it and why it surfaced when it did. Observers noted that the footage appeared to capture him near a vehicle, possibly in the area of his fatal shooting outside a smoke shop in South Los Angeles.
It's a very sad situation, man. What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Well, my thoughts and my prayers go hand in hand because we lost another little brother named 80 Grand, I believe he's from Main Street, don't quote me on it.
The emergence of this content transformed the story from a tragic incident into one that could be documented and analyzed, prompting investigators, family members, and the public to reconsider what they knew about that night. The speed at which this material spread was remarkable. Within hours, it appeared across social media platforms, was reposted on video sharing sites, and circulated in private groups. This rapid dissemination had two primary effects. It increased the number of observers potentially spotting critical details, and it complicated official investigations. When information is shared outside controlled environments, questions of chain of custody, witness influence, and forensic reliability arise. Law enforcement, family representatives, and other stakeholders now had to contend not only with the homicide itself, but also with uncontrolled documentation that could affect the case. The circumstances of recording carry implications of access and intent. If captured by a passerby, the footage might be incidental. But if the recording came from someone with knowledge of Jabari's movements, it suggests observation rather than chance. Content like this often surfaces when someone has insight, motive, or opportunity, sometimes intentionally, sometimes inadvertently. The presence of such material demonstrates how real-time observation can intersect with tragic outcomes. Public attention added another layer of pressure. For investigators, the content could provide leads, but it also risked revealing sensitive information or influencing witnesses. For the family, it offered proof of moments before the tragedy, while simultaneously exposing them to public scrutiny and speculation. For the broader audience, it became a spectacle, shaping perception and interpretation. The material doesn't just record events, it changes the dynamics surrounding them, forcing questions about who recorded it, why it surfaced, and how it affects understanding of the incident. What the footage might reveal. Observational material, when analyzed carefully, can provide insights into motive, affiliation, geography, and sequence of events. For investigative teams, details such as vehicle positions, movement of individuals, and environmental markers are essential to understanding potential exposure and risk. Even subtle cues, gestures, posture, or direction of focus can indicate intent, awareness, or coordination, helping to differentiate between routine activity and situations of heightened vulnerability.
We didn't shelf him. We didn't know what the fuck was gonna happen. I'm pretty sure he didn't know what was gonna happen until he had to just keep going day by day.
Investigators prioritize elements that indicate context or association. Spatial relationships, repeated presence at certain locations, and interactions with others may reveal patterns that suggest monitoring or targeting. By cross-referencing observations with witness reports, official logs, and surveillance, authorities can verify details and build a clearer picture of the events leading to the incident. This approach reduces reliance on speculation, grounding the analysis in measurable evidence. Environmental and geographic context is equally important. Landmarks, street layouts, and vehicle positioning help investigators reconstruct movement and interactions. This allows them to evaluate the plausibility of claims, corroborate timelines, and identify potential persons of interest. Patterns that emerge from the analysis of these sequences can distinguish between coincidental encounters and deliberate positioning, contributing to understanding motive, opportunity, and premeditation. investigation. Beyond law enforcement, such material affects public understanding. Observers may interpret interactions, proximity, or movement patterns in ways that shape broader narratives. Analysts and investigators must balance transparency with caution, ensuring that conclusions drawn remain factual and supported by evidence. Accurate analysis of these sequences provides insight into vulnerabilities, situational dynamics, and the mechanisms that may have contributed to the eventual outcome without drawing premature conclusions. Implications for motive and investigation. The circumstances surrounding Jabari Henley's death raise critical questions about motive and investigative direction. Early reports indicated a shooting outside a smoke shop in South Los Angeles, but closer examination of events leading up to the incident suggests potential premeditation. Investigators are analyzing whether the attack was opportunistic or the result of prior observation. Understanding motive requires examining social connections, rivalries, and environmental factors that may have influenced the perpetrator's actions. Patterns of movement and associations play a key role. Authorities consider who Jabari interacted with, where he traveled, and how his schedule intersected with known high-risk locations. If these movements were tracked, either by witnesses or others with direct knowledge, it could point to deliberate targeting rather than chance. Conversely, if no such patterns emerge, the act may lean toward opportunistic violence. Each scenario requires a distinct investigative approach, influencing how resources are allocated and which leads are prioritized. Investigators also analyze the broader context of street activity and industry networks. Connections between individuals, prior conflicts, and potential rivalries inform the assessment of risk and intent. This contextualization helps authorities distinguish between reactive incidents and strategic planning. Understanding the underlying networks and motives allows law enforcement to reconstruct the environment in which the incident occurred, adding clarity to the chain of events. In practical terms, this analysis involves cross-referencing multiple sources: witness accounts, surveillance, cell phone data, and prior incident reports. Each piece contributes to a timeline and pattern analysis. Investigators assess whether observed behaviors align with natural movement or suggest foreknowledge and planning. The objective is to develop a factual, evidence-based understanding of motive that can inform both the immediate case and preventive strategies in similar situations. Ultimately, evaluating motive is central to the investigation. Identifying whether the incident was planned, targeted, or opportunistic shapes both law enforcement strategy and public communication. By systematically analyzing movement, association, and environmental context, investigators aim to construct a factual narrative that explains not only what happened but why it occurred. This analytical approach provides a foundation for both prosecution and prevention, anchoring conclusions in verifiable evidence rather than speculation. Family impact and public persona. The shooting of Jabari Henley profoundly affected his family, exposing them to both personal loss and public scrutiny.
Chargers linebacker Deion Henley playing with a heavy heart today after his brother was shot and killed in South LA.
Beyond grief, families of high-profile individuals must navigate complex social, media, and legal landscapes. In this case, Jabari's relationships, including a father under federal indictment and a brother active in professional sports, create layers of visibility that amplify both attention and risk. The impact extends to reputation and public perception. In the wake of the incident, narratives form not only from official statements but also from community discussion, social media, and news coverage. Every aspect of Jabari's life, from location to associations, becomes subject to interpretation. Families must contend with the challenge of preserving dignity while engaging with authorities, managing communication, and responding to public speculation. Loss in such circumstances intersects with ongoing legal and investigative processes. Families may face intrusive inquiries, requests for information, and scrutiny over past associations. The dual pressures of mourning and public visibility can complicate healing. In addition, cultural and social contexts influence perception. The family's position within street and music communities carries both status and vulnerability. Each action and public statement becomes significant, shaping both public narrative and investigative outcomes. For the public, the combination of familial background, circumstances of the incident, and media attention can influence perception of the victim. The portrayal of Jabari may oscillate between empathy and scrutiny, depending on context and sources of information. Understanding the family's perspective provides insight into broader community dynamics, illustrating how personal tragedy intersects with public discourse. In sum, the impact on family and public persona is multifaceted. It involves managing grief, navigating exposure, and protecting reputation while cooperating with law enforcement. The situation underscores how high-profile incidents ripple beyond immediate events, affecting relationships, community perception, and public understanding. Families must balance privacy and transparency while contending with the enduring social and investigative consequences of violent incidents. Legal and investigative risks. The investigation into Jabari Henley's shooting carries inherent legal and operational risks. Law enforcement must balance evidence collection, witness protection, and procedural integrity. Rapid dissemination of information complicates chain of custody protocols, potentially affecting admissibility of evidence in court. Ensuring that investigative actions are legally sound is critical to both prosecution and public confidence in the process.
How they say you reap what you sow? It's coming back to Big U full throttle.
Investigators face challenges in maintaining control over leads and intelligence. Unauthorized reporting, social media speculation, and community discussion can reveal sensitive information or alert suspects. Preserving confidentiality of witness identities, surveillance methods, and investigatory timelines is essential to prevent contamination of evidence or compromise of operational strategy. Legal considerations extend to potential claims of privacy violation, digital evidence handling, and procedural irregularities. Law enforcement and prosecutors must document actions meticulously, ensuring that any materials used in case development are verifiable and defensible in court. Even seemingly minor lapses can affect trial outcomes or credibility of investigative conclusions. Operationally, investigators must navigate the tension between urgency and caution. Timely action can prevent escalation, identify suspects, and secure evidence, but it must be balanced against procedural safeguards. Coordinating multiple agencies, managing forensic data, and aligning investigative priorities require both strategic planning and adaptability. The combination of high-profile visibility and complex social dynamics adds additional layers of risk. Public perception, media narratives, and community response can influence both investigative decision-making and legal strategy. Investigators must consider these factors while remaining grounded in factual analysis, ensuring that operational choices advance the case without introducing bias or vulnerability. Ultimately, legal and investigative risks underscore the importance of structured methodology. Clear documentation, adherence to protocol, and strategic operational planning are central to maintaining integrity. A methodical approach ensures that findings are credible, actions are defensible, and justice is pursued within the bounds of legal and ethical standards. Timing of the footage. Relative to the murder chronology plays a critical role in investigations. Understanding Jabari Henley's movements immediately before the shooting is essential to reconstructing motive, opportunity, and risk. Investigators focus on the hours leading up to the incident, analyzing patterns of movement, interactions with others, and environmental conditions. This timing can reveal whether an event was spontaneous or possibly anticipated by others, allowing authorities to distinguish between random exposure and deliberate targeting. Location and sequence are particularly significant. Jabari was reported to have approached a vehicle near Figueroa and 69th Street in South Los Angeles, where the shooting occurred. Observing his movement patterns at that location helps investigators assess whether his path aligned with known high-risk areas, whether he was being followed, or if there were predictable behaviors that could have been monitored. Every moment before the shooting matters in determining cause and context. Timing also informs threat assessment. Pauses, directional changes, or interactions with others can indicate situational awareness or exposure to danger. Analysts consider how these sequences fit within the broader context of social and environmental factors, such as the presence of bystanders, vehicles, or other points of observation. Understanding these sequences allows investigators to determine whether risk was incidental or anticipated. The psychological and procedural impact of timing is significant. Public awareness of sequences prior to a crime can shape both community response and investigative decisions. It may influence resource allocation, dictate which witnesses are prioritized, or alter communication strategies. By establishing precise timelines, investigators create a factual framework to interpret events, evaluate potential premeditation, and guide the overall investigative strategy. Timing thus functions as both a forensic tool and a lens for understanding the conditions that preceded the shooting. Media and social media dimension. The shooting of Jabari Henley unfolded in a context where traditional reporting and social media activity intersect. In high-profile cases, platforms such as Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube often act as secondary arenas where information spreads faster than official channels can verify it. This dual flow of information has significant implications for both investigation and public perception.
The death of Big U's son is making LA very uncomfortable. There's a lot of unspoken tension right now, and something really bad may unravel soon if something isn't done about this fast.
Social media serves as both a source and amplifier of information. Eyewitnesses, community members, and bystanders often post real-time updates, while commentary threads analyze, speculate, and sometimes misinterpret events. Investigators must track this activity to identify credible leads without being misled by rumor or fabrication. Each post, video clip, or comment may contain pieces of verifiable information, but separating signal from noise requires methodical assessment. The viral nature of digital content also introduces risk. Publicly shared material can compromise ongoing investigations, expose sensitive information, or place witnesses at risk. It may reveal locations, timelines, or associations that law enforcement intends to keep confidential. At the same time, social media can provide unique observational data. Videos, photos, or accounts that might otherwise go unnoticed can serve as leads or corroborate official timelines. The investigative challenge lies in integrating digital content responsibly, verifying authenticity, and maintaining procedural integrity. For the public, the presence of social media reporting shapes perception. Events become subject to immediate interpretation, commentary, and debate, often before authorities release statements. This can create a distorted narrative, influencing community reaction and framing public understanding of motive, responsibility, or culpability. The influence of social media framing cannot be underestimated. Even factual information can be reframed, miscontextualized, or amplified in ways that affect ongoing investigations. Ultimately, social media dynamics require law enforcement to adopt dual strategies. They must monitor digital channels for leads while managing risk of exposure, misinformation, or tampering. Media engagement strategies become critical. Timely and factual public communication can mitigate speculation while protecting investigative priorities. The interplay between online narratives and formal investigation demonstrates the complexity of modern law enforcement in a connected digital environment. Ethical concerns. The shooting of Jabari Henley raises pressing ethical considerations surrounding privacy, media conduct, and public consumption of violent events. In high-profile cases, balancing transparency with respect for the victim and family is a delicate task. Law enforcement, media outlets, and the public must navigate these responsibilities carefully to avoid harm while maintaining accountability.
What was it like playing the game today with everything you got going on?
I mean, for me, as sad as it is, and like as traumatizing as all this is, I got a job to do. So for me, it was coming out here and handling the job first, and then being emotional after.
Family exposure is a primary ethical concern. Loved ones are often thrust into public scrutiny during investigative processes, facing invasive reporting, social media commentary, and speculation. This intrusion can exacerbate grief, create stress, and compromise privacy. Ethical practice requires recognizing that the family's well-being is distinct from the public's curiosity, and measures must be taken to protect their dignity and mental health. For media and investigators, the handling of sensitive material carries responsibility. Decisions on what to release, how to contextualize information, and how to present findings must prioritize accuracy and restraint. Premature reporting, sensationalism, or speculation can mislead the public, harm reputations, and interfere with justice. Maintaining professional standards, verifying sources, and framing coverage responsibly are essential in preserving ethical integrity. Ethical challenges also extend to bystanders and the digital audience. Sharing, commenting on, or reposting sensitive content has consequences. Even seemingly innocuous posts can amplify trauma, influence community tensions, or interfere with legal processes. Awareness of these dynamics is crucial. Ethical responsibility extends beyond institutions to individuals participating in the digital conversation. Ultimately, ethical considerations require a holistic perspective. Protecting human dignity, ensuring procedural fairness, and managing public influence are core responsibilities in cases involving violent death. Decisions must weigh investigative benefit against potential harm, balancing transparency with sensitivity. The Henley case illustrates how modern investigations intersect with media and public behavior, highlighting the importance of ethical vigilance in both communication and operational practice. Before you go, remember, the story of Big U's son and the events leading up to his murder are far from fully revealed. The footage, the movements, the hidden dynamics, it's all part of a puzzle the public hasn't seen in full. If you want to see what happens next, the investigations, the connections, and the angles that could finally expose the truth, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. The next revelation could change everything.